Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The sensex and the nifty fall for the fourth day, posting the biggest one-day drop in a month, the worst losing streak in 5 months. 4 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth wiped out today. Adani Group stocks marked the worst day in 2 weeks as the sell-off continues. The group has now lost over 51,000 crore rupees in market cap, taking the overall wealth erosion since the Hindenburg report to more than 11.6 lakh crore rupees.
The central banks need to look at more tools than just interest rate hikes.
Outgoing World Bank President David Malpass says the world has to find a way to answer inflation concerns, called 0% interest rate regime abnormal. Says rate hikes are a move towards normalcy. Malpass says he's concerned about absorption of capital in developed markets. That's an exclusive.
I think the challenge now is for India to make the transition from being a primarily generics market to trying to support innovative medicine.
Novartis Global CEO Vasant Narasimhan says they are in the execution phase of the journey to become a pure-play innovative company. Novartis will expand its development center in India, hopes that India can transition from a generic market to supporting innovative medicines. That's an exclusive. US President Joe Biden promises unwavering support to Ukraine in a speech at Warsaw as Russia continues to blame the West for pulling out of the arms treaty with the US. Explosions reported in Kharkiv as the war nears the one-year anniversary. US-based private equity firm Warburg Pincus remains bullish on India. Vishal Mahadevia tells CNBC-TV18 there's no change in investor sentiment and India is a fantastic space for global investors. Adds they are keen on investing in portfolio companies. Abnormally high temperatures in many parts of the country trigger heatwave concerns. Private weather tracker SkyMet says heatwave possible in the first week of March. Met Department says higher temperatures are leading to high evaporation, causing dense fog, impacting visibility. Smoggy weather has caused severe congestion at the Delhi airport, impacting over 220 flights. Arrivals and departures of domestic and international flights have been delayed. Some flights diverted to nearby airports to ease congestion. UP Finance Minister unveils the state's biggest budget of nearly 7 lakh crores, allocates funds to help youth, women, startups and the agri sector. Expects the state GDP to touch 19% in FY24. Chief Minister Adityanath calls it the first budget of Amrit Kal. Well, let's go straight to the market action. There was no place to hide on the Lal Street today as the stock market saw a sharp sell-off. Frontline indices falling for the fourth day, posing the biggest losing streak that we have seen in the last 5 months. Weak global cues and a decline in Asian equities also pushed the Nifty and the Sensex to the lowest closing levels that we've seen since October of last year. Financials leading the decline. The Nifty Bank Index dropped below the 40,000 mark. 4 lakh crore rupees in investor wealth was wiped out today. All sectoral indices closed with cuts. Anuj stands by to wrap up the market action for us. Pretty brutal today, Anuj, for the markets.
Well, the market had some kind of a fear factor today and a lot of crucial levels got disturbed. There was all-round selling, of course, and banks were leading it. And, of course, a lot of large stocks were leading it. No particular reason, but there are 3 major factors. The Federal Reserve, geopolitics and the Adani factor. The market's coming to terms with perhaps 2 or 3 more rate hikes from the Fed. The geopolitics, the Russia-Ukraine war, there's been another angle added with the US President making that unscheduled visit to Ukraine. And of course, the Adani Group stocks got hammered today, led by the F&O side of the market and led by the biggest one, Adani Enterprises, and which is something which also sort of disturbed the mood a bit today. SBI has been leading the big decline in PSU banks, and that's also another factor. In fact, the PSU bank index is now down 21% from peak, and portfolios have taken a big knock. Now, what next for the market? I think technically the next support level comes in straight away on the budget day lows, which are 17,350 on Nifty and 39,490 on the Bank Nifty, which also coincides, by the way, with the 200-day moving average. But more than the levels, the market needs some kind of stability in price action.
Anuj, many thanks for joining us. That was the market action, but the Adani Group stocks continue to be under pressure. All group stocks posting major cuts in today's trade. The group's market cap has fallen below 8 lakh crore rupees. That is for today. This is the biggest single-day fall in the last 2 weeks. Vivek joins us now to wrap up the stock rout that we are seeing across the Adani Group. Vivek.
Well, absolutely right. So today what we've witnessed is that, there has been significant and renewed selling pressure across most of the Adani Group stocks. In fact, just to put it in perspective, during the peak, across most of the stocks or the peak market cap for this group was almost 24 lakh crore. And, current market cap is just around 7.6 lakh crore. And since, the release of the Hindenburg report, the erosion has been a little over 11 lakh crore as far as the Adani Group stocks are concerned. So it's a very large fall that you're seeing across the entire group. Now, in terms of stock prices, it's quite alarming the way some of the stocks have actually fallen. So Adani Total, Adani Transmission and Adani Green, all three of these stocks have seen cuts of over 70% since January 24th. The other group of stocks, Adani Enterprises, Adani Power, Adani Wilmar, anywhere between 30 to 60% is where they've seen the fall. And the least impacted have been ACC, Adani Ports as well as Ambuja, again falling between 25 to 33%. NDTV too has seen a fall of over 30%. So clear sharp knock has been seen, and today there has been renewed selling pressure, especially across Adani Enterprises, that has taken it quite significantly in today's trading session.
Vivek, many thanks for joining us. Selling pressure continues across the Adani Group stocks. Now, the National Stock Exchange has extended trading hours of interest rate derivatives from 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. The extended timing will come into effect starting tomorrow. The stock exchange has said that this move is aimed to converge the trading hours with underlying market timings. Contracts expiring this month will also be available for trading till 5 p.m. from tomorrow. Well, we have a slew of exclusives today, and let's start with the big one. Novartis Global CEO Vasant Narasimhan says they are in the execution phase of their journey to become a pure-play innovative company. In an exclusive conversation with me, Narasimhan said that the pharma giant will expand its development center in India and Hyderabad. He said he hopes that India can make the transition from a generic market to supporting more innovative medicines. Take a look.
I think the challenge now is for India to make the transition from being a primarily generics market to trying to support innovative medicines. And other countries have made that transition. I think over the next decade, India can make that transition. And if India makes that transition, I would expect a large biotech sector to also come up here. Also, the diaspora could start to come back as well and really create those companies. We've evolved from a healthcare conglomerate, and then over the last 5 years, with $100 billion of transactions, transformed into a pure-play innovative medicines company. Since 2005, we've been able to build an over 10,000 strong presence in India, both with our Indian business, but also with this corporate center, where we cover pretty much all of the key functions within Novartis, ranging from development, research functions, all the way up through our advanced analytics, AI, and other capabilities. We plan to continue to invest and expand. I mean, we think that Hyderabad is an incredible location for talent. And so for us as a corporate center, India has become a really key location.
And you can catch that entire conversation with the global CEO of Novartis, Vas Narasimhan. That's coming up for you at 7 p.m. tonight on CNBC-TV18. The other big newsmaker of the day, outgoing World Bank President David Malpass, has said that the world needs to find a way to answer inflation concerns. Malpass said he is concerned about the absorption of capital in developed markets. More importantly, Malpass is here for the G20 meetings in Bengaluru. He heads the debt resolution roundtable. He believes that there is hope there could be a positive outcome at the end of this meeting. China at the table, and he believes that China is more open to looking at options for faster debt resolution. Take a look.
The world has to find a way to get to the answer on inflation quicker than what is happening right now. It looks like a long, drawn-out process. We have to start from the premise that the 0% interest rate was an abnormal situation. That couldn't continue. So the world's moving to a more normal interest rate, and I've been pleased to see that the rupee has stabilized in recent months, and I think that's an opportunity as well for India to show that it's got a stable financial system that can really support a stable currency. For the world, one of the giant challenges is the debt of the advanced economies. This is the fiscal deficits that are so large. I need to note, India itself has still a sizable fiscal deficit. It's coming down in the current budget from 9% down somewhat, but it still is large by developing country standards. Trade is so important to the pace of global growth. It's a vital underpinning of how businesses work and how people can become more efficient through competition across borders. And so I'm worried that the current problems are causing some of the countries to put up new barriers to trade.
Well, that is the outgoing World Bank President David Malpass in an exclusive conversation with CNBC-TV18. Heatwave concerns have been rising. The Met Department is warning of higher than normal temperatures across most parts of the country. The Met has also said that high temperatures during the day and night have led to high evaporation and subsequent dense fog at isolated parts of Delhi, Haryana and West Rajasthan. The IMD has warned of temperatures rising by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius above normal for the next 5 days over northwest, central and west India. In fact, flight operations impacted on the back of a massive air traffic congestion at the Delhi airport. This was caused on account of fog. Over 200 flights were delayed due to poor visibility. 7 flights were diverted to nearby airports. Danish Anand joins us now with more. Danish.
Well, due to poor visibility conditions in the morning, flight services at Delhi airport were impacted. According to IMD, dense fog was observed at isolated places over Delhi, Haryana and West Rajasthan. Around 7 a.m., visibility dropped to 70 meters at the Delhi airport and low visibility procedure was initiated. Till afternoon, over 200 flights, both domestic as well as international, were delayed and 7 flights were also diverted to Jaipur, Amritsar and Varanasi airports. However, later in the day, due to a massive ATC congestion, takeoff and landing was severely impacted, and the major impact was seen on the domestic departures as over 100 departures were delayed from Delhi airport, and similarly 65 domestic arrivals were also affected. All airlines informed passengers via social media platforms about the massive ATC congestion and the impact on their flights.
Danish, many thanks for joining us. Consulting firm McKinsey & Company is the latest MNC that's likely to trim its workforce. The company plans to cut 2,000 jobs as part of its restructuring plan. This will be McKinsey's biggest round of layoffs. The job cuts will include support staff in roles that do not require any direct contact with clients. In response to CNBC-TV18's query, McKinsey says that they are redesigning the way their non-client service teams operate and continue to hire client service professionals. Shares of logistics company Delivery fell more than 3% after shares worth 410 crore rupees exchanged hands in a block deal. This amounts to about 1.7% of the company's equity that was traded at an average price of 335 rupees a share. Private equity firm Warburg Pincus is bullish on India. The managing director Vishal Mahadevia has told CNBC-TV18 that India is in a fantastic space for global investors, adding that India's digital sector is set to grow further. Also says that the financial services sector is in a golden period. Take a look.
On India, really nothing's changed. I think India is in a fantastic spot. It's got its challenges. It's not an island when there are issues happening all around the world that can affect India. But we start from a different point. COVID hit us harder. We've recovered better. And we are in that mode when you look across businesses and you look at what's happening. While you'd always like it to be a little bit better, it's actually really, really good compared to what we're seeing across the rest of the world. So very frankly, Warburg's been in India, as you know, for 25 years. We've seen the ups and downs many times, and our strategy remains unchanged. We're very bullish.
Well, that's Warburg Pincus on India. Another exclusive this evening, the government is likely to initiate the settlement of cases initiated by the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority for pharma companies under the Vivad Se Vishwas Scheme 2. This is the government's attempt at tax resolution and reducing litigation. Timsy joins us now with the details. Timsy, what are your sources telling you?
Well, sources are clearly indicating that when it comes to the cases that were initiated against pharma companies by NPPA, remember these cases were initiated noting that these pharma companies were overpricing their drugs despite these being under essential category and there being a price cap. And thus, these cases were hanging in for quite a long time, and now both government and pharma companies were wanting to settle these cases, and that's why they are likely to be initiated for settlement under this new scheme that was announced in the Union Budget by Finance Minister under Vivad Se Vishwas Scheme 2. What we are given to understand from sources is also that once cases are initiated for settlement, it could yield around 5,000 to 6,000 crore rupees for the government, which is currently stuck because the settlement is still not happening, and there being a lot of issues with the pharma companies and with with the government. So let's see how soon these cases come up for settlement, because there was a proposal to come up with one-time settlement scheme by NPPA also, but no rules got notified under which these settlements could begin. So let's see how soon Vivad Se Vishwas 2 actually comes out as a breather for these pharma companies.
Many thanks for joining us. We will head into a break, but up next, US President Joe Biden promises unwavering support to Ukraine in a speech at Warsaw as Russia continues to blame the West for pulling out of the arms treaty with the US. That and more when we get back. Sources say the government is assessing if the emergency credit line guarantee scheme needs to be extended. The scheme is set to end on the 31st of March. Sapna joins us now with more. Sapna, what are you picking up? Is it curtains for the ECLGS scheme?
Well, there are certain indications within the government, probably some deliberations that maybe the worst of the COVID impact is over. And, it could just be possible that a large part, or rather the ECLGS at least, can be allowed to lapse. Maybe this is some kind of a thought process, some kind of a discussion within government. So to, make it more formal and get a better opinion, what they are doing is basically taking feedback from banks, as well as the government has asked the NIBM, the National Institute of Bank Management based in Pune, to basically do a complete assessment report on ECLGS, how has the progress been, the challenges it has faced, and whether it needs to be extended beyond March 31. So I think once the NIBM report comes in, we'll be in a better position to say what is the status. But it does appear that with the COVID challenges receding, maybe some thought process within the government whether ECLGS needs to be extended at all or not. That's one. However, along with the ECLGS, if you recollect, there was also something called the loan guarantee scheme for COVID-affected areas, and that came in just last year in 2022. So I suppose around 7 to 8, 9 odd months have just lapsed since that scheme was launched. So it may just be possible that the other smaller part will continue, but the overall flagship ECLGS, I think government will take a call on that.
Sapna, many thanks for joining us. We will have to wait to see. Now, Ukrainian military has claimed that Russia launched multiple attacks from heavy rocket systems in the past 24 hours. Explosions were reported from Bakhmut and eastern parts of Ukraine. US President Joe Biden has promised unwavering support to Ukraine in his speech at Warsaw as Russia continues to blame the West for pulling out of the arms treaty with the US. Steve Sedgwick gets us the latest from Warsaw.
Day 3 of the Biden visit to Europe, of course, and already I think it's been a couple of very eventful days from Joe Biden. Firstly, of course, that surprise visit to Kyiv as well, just underlining the support for the country and for the people from him as US president, and as leadership obviously sits with the US as well, just affirming for the future the longevity of that commitment to Ukraine. I thought yesterday's speech was very interesting from Joe Biden. It was a very energetic speech. It was very colourful. There was lots of music before and afterwards as well. He went off to Coldplay, a sky full of stars. It was almost like a rock concert, almost like a campaign speech as well, and I'll come to that in a few moments' time. But yeah, he didn't address a lot directly of what Mr. Putin said yesterday. He didn't address, for instance, the Russians pulling out of that START nuclear treaty as well. He also didn't address, just for our viewers' sake, any real new logistical news, including what capabilities he would be giving to the Ukrainians to carry on the fight. But what he did say was there was no sweeter word than freedom, and just challenging and picking up the gauntlet from Vladimir Putin on his worldview of history, saying Western democracies have proved that they are more united than ever, have longevity, and he compared and contrasted quite extensively Western democracies compared with autocratic expansionism, saying there is no sweeter word than freedom. But in terms of what meaningfully NATO allies want to hear, well, I think they wanted to hear this once again from Joe Biden.
And let there be no doubt, the commitment of the United States to our NATO alliance and Article 5 is rock solid. And every member of NATO knows it, and Russia knows it as well. An attack against one is an attack against all. It's a sacred oath. Sacred oath to defend every inch of NATO territory.
Well, that's President Joe Biden there in Warsaw. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned. We've got a power-packed lineup coming up for you right after this break.